Welcome back to IDTV. I'm Mike Monadero. Today we're going to take an in-depth look at a little-known law that has now become the flashpoint of debate here in San Francisco. This law is known as the Ellis Act. Our guest in the studio will explain what the law is, how it's being used to adversely evict tenants, and what is being done on a legislative level to assist tenants. We'll show how and where tenants can seek out assistance to defend themselves from being unjustly evicted from their homes, and we'll also hear from a tenant who has been through the Ellis Act eviction process. So our first guest is Tyler McMillan, and you're with the Eviction Defense Collaborative. So,
yes. Cool,
welcome. So we just were wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what the Ellis Act is, like how long it's been around and why it was created in the first place.
Sure, thanks, Mike. The Ellis Act was a state law that we have here in California that the legislature passed back in the mid-'80s, and the law is actually found in Government Code Section 7060. And it's a law that allows landlords who, or the intent of the law actually, is to allow landlords who want to go out of the business of being a landlord to do that in the proper fashion and use the proper procedure. It was created as a response to a Supreme Court case that said you can't use an eviction as a way to go out of the business of being the landlord. And so the legislature created the Ellis Act to give landlords guidance on how to actually properly go out of the business.
Okay. So thank you very much for that. So now we're going to take a look at a video that our field crew made.
Is turning 98 years old. This is her birthday today. She is scheduled to be kicked out of her home on April 8th. Can you imagine kicking a 98-year-old woman out of her home? Who the hell does that?
We're seeing it mostly used as a threat. For every Ellis Act you see, there's probably 6 or 7 households that are, or buildings being evicted with a threat of Ellis Act that never shows up on the records.
Stand forward, steps back, this is the end of the ride. I want my money back. I waited in line with the cold and the rain, waited in heat, my sweat and blood.
The Ellis Act has unfortunately been used, I think, in a growing way to displace people from their apartments, and frequently seniors and people who aren't making a lot of money, and it's not a good thing.
There's very real effects to very real people, and that these people are long-term San Francisco residents. What this property owner wants to do is purchase a property and then get the tenants out so that they can make a profit on the property. And if there's collateral damage, if a 97-year-old tenant who's lived here for 50 years has to leave the city so that they can make a profit, then that's okay as far as their business model is concerned.
We are all about fighting back. We are all about people not leaving. We are all about people not being intimidated and scared into leaving their homes. We will do whatever we have to do to help them stay in their apartments. You might want to bring a copy of your lease if you have a written lease, just in case we need to refer to it. Any kind of communication with the landlord, written communication, bring it. It doesn't hurt to err on the side of caution and bring everything that you have. Bring your whole, if you have a folder with paperwork, bring it all, because you never know what's going to be relevant to your case or not. But certainly if you have an eviction notice, bring that.
Keep Mary in her home. Keep Mary in her home.
So our next guest has a unique perspective on this issue. We have Brian Basinger with us today from the San Francisco AIDS Housing Alliance with us here today. So can you tell us what services you provide to people who've been evicted because of the Ellis Act?
Well, the AIDS Housing Alliance provides a broad spectrum of services to prevent homelessness and then also help people who've lost their housing become rapidly rehoused. So we'll provide background assistance, we will provide tenants' rights counseling, landlord mediation, linkages to legal services through Eviction Defense Collaborative or the AIDS Legal Referral Panel. And then also we help people apply for affordable housing. We provide move-in assistance money. We'll provide rental subsidies to help people get in. And we serve about 1,000 people a year.
And we think you're doing excellent work. Thank you. So now we have with us Marla Knight. You actually have an Ellis Act story as well, but yours was successfully fought it off. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, a real success story. In November of 2012, our building was sold to Urban Green Investments, and within 3 months they invoked the Ellis Act. We immediately hooked up with Chinatown Community Development Center and Tina Chung, who connected us with Steve Collier, who's an attorney with Tenderloin Housing Clinic. and they gave us support, legal advice, legal representation. Well, on February 3rd, Urban Green withdrew the Ellis Act eviction on our building. It's a big building, 14-unit building. None of us had moved, none of us accepted buyouts, and we were due to vacate the building the next day. So it was a great success, and hopefully it has encouraged other people who have been Ellis Acted.
We at IDTV would like to give a huge thank you to our guests for taking the time to participate in our studio, and to those that allowed us to film them and share their stories. And if you would like to learn more about the Ellis Act and would like to get more information from tenant advocates like Brian, contact information on the graph that appears on screen. And be sure to go to the IDTV YouTube page for bonus coverage of the story with full interviews, PSAs from participating tenant advocates. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.